So this is TED Talk saying how people get good jobs. So let's listen to what they got to say of how people to get good jobs, good paying jobs, and what is a good job.
Let me take you back to February 14th, 2016, Valentine's Day. A group of young men that I mentor and I were out on the town spreading kindness one drive-through at a time.
Oh, it's good to see a lot of black men, my black kids. I like seeing that.
That's fire.
And every year we would rent tuxedos and a limousine and we'd pass out cards and chocolates and roses to ladies who are working at fast food restaurants on Valentine's Day.
Ah,
Their acts of kindness landed them on the front page of the biggest newspaper in Oklahoma. And big brothers, if you have a chance to be on the front page, always and without exception, throw the bunny ears on your younger brother. These guys are hilarious.
Okay, so based on how you talking about, looks like they're a family.
mm, okay.
But I want to give you a little background. I met these guys when they were 8 years old. They're now 18 years old. And I met them when I was working in schools in Northeast Oklahoma City, known as the East Side. And a decade ago, I moved to the East Side to be closer to families and students and just kind of be in the mix. And these guys quickly became like nephews to me. The East Side is predominantly black, predominantly low income. And when the news shows a group of young black men, there's typically a mugshot that follows.
Why is that? Why is that? Why, when the news show young black men, there's particularly a mug shot? Why is that?
I would say the lack of like guidance for the black youth, and they need the guidance to like something that's productive. So like if they could have someone guide them into like tech, like how this guy's speaking, if you have programs and stuff available and access to the type of technology information that they need, you could guide them away from the crime and violence and chaos stuff. So that's
But he particularly said black men.
yeah.
And do you know this stat? I think this is a shock to the world right now. You ready for this?
Yeah.
60% of black men are either in the middle class or over the middle class.
Yeah.
60%, that's the majority of black men when they reach their 30s or above. They're either in the middle class or above or high earners.
That's a good percentage.
60%.
Yeah.
But yet, when they talk about black men, we in the hood and we don't have no guidance and we poor. You know, I just had to throw that in there real quick.
Yeah. I do notice that it's such a narrative that they put towards our young. Yeah.
Facts.
Notice that.
But on Valentine's Day, when the news shows a group of young black men, they're wearing tuxedos.
Black men again.
And let me tell you about tuxedos. When you wear a tuxedo,
Huh.
you feel like $1,000,000. The way you walk changes. The way you dance changes. The things you talk about change.
Mm.
I believe I wouldn't say all black men. This is my image, and I love this image of black men. What's that dude name? What was his name? Reverend Lewis? I forgot his name. He went down there with Martin Luther King to Selma. There was even a movie about that.
Okay.
But the thing I loved about that is they was all suited up. They all had suits on. They all look professional. And I love that look. I think we should dress like that all the time. Like I think black men should go out here in the world. If you over like 28, 25, shit, I even say 23, 24, to be honest with you. Go out in a suit, go out looking nice, wearing some like sweatpants or some Jordans and some shit like that. You know, let's go out there and go to Walmart or go to not Walmart, fuck Walmart. Let's go to a Starbucks or a nice restaurant or a nice place, or go to like a mall, a nice good mall, similar to like South Park Mall in Charlotte, North Carolina. You go there, you just walk in a suit, go do your thing, you're in a suit. You know how much respect and like this that image gives with a black man in a suit, you look like a boss man.
Yeah,
Because he is boss man. We out here putting in the work anyway.
that's true. That's true.
And so in the back of that limousine, we talk about business and fake business deals and making money, right? And so these guys knew what I did for work. They knew I had a good job. They knew I made good money. I explained to them that there's jobs that have benefits that you can actually get paid to take time off, PTO.
He explained to him that you could get paid and take time off, PTO.
Hmm.
Isn't that every job? If you a full time employee,
Yep.
interesting.
Hmm.
And I explained to them about stocks. They could be part owners in companies. And they knew I took a plane to go to different cities and get paid to travel. In the back of that limousine that night, Demarion asked me a question I'll never forget. He said, Tito, that's my nickname, Tito. He said, I want one of the good jobs when I get older. How do people get the good jobs? And I froze. Luckily, Burger King saved me. We pulled up to our next spot. The guys grabbed their roses, their chocolates, and we hopped out. And by the time we got back, conversation had changed. We went to a few more restaurants, dropped them off, and I was sitting in the back of a limousine dressed in a tuxedo, all by myself, not thinking about how incredibly single I was on Valentine's Day, which is true. I was thinking about the American dream. Because what Demarion asked me in the back of that limousine was, what are the keys to success in America? Like, how do I make good money for my family and achieve these dreams that you know about?
The American dream.
Hmm.
Everybody wants it. Everybody's chasing it. The good old American dream, right?
Yep. American dream, owning the real estate, having a family, dog, cars, middle class,
Yeah. Most of
above
us
middle
like
class.
that.
Hmm.
Without really knowing, he was
Oh,
asking what social scientists call social mobility, the ability to move up the socioeconomic ladder, do better than what your parents do. And so that night in that limousine,
I'm really interested in what he's about to tell these kids. I'm really interested. I want to know the answer to his question. How do I get a good job? I'm really interested in that answer. Let's see what he says.
okay.
Demarion's question became my question. How do people get the good jobs? Like,
Yeah.
how'd you get to where you're at? And so I started doing research. And I interviewed people who fall into the top 20% of income earners in America. And I'm not talking the uber wealthy, the top 1%. I'm talking about bankers, engineers, mid-level managers in corporate America, people with good jobs. And so I want to show you a series of 3 interviews, and I want you to see if you can find kind of the common thread that goes throughout all of these, okay? One of my first interviews that I did was with Stacy. She said that she was a school teacher and then worked hard and got a job in corporate America. I interviewed Rebecca, and she said that she worked hard to get through college and then got an internship, which turned into a full-time job at this PR firm. And then I interviewed Trevor, and he said that he quit his job and then worked hard to start his own business. So what is the kind of common thread that you see here? Hard work. That is definitely a key to success in America, but that's not the most interesting or fascinating thing that I found. There was something else that was kind of hidden in plain sight. It was there, but you kind of had to do a little digging, and it was the keys to success were hidden behind this one phrase. This one phrase that showed up in every single one of my interviews. And then. And then. So let me take you back in case you missed it. Stacy said that she was a school teacher and then worked hard and got a job in corporate America. But what she didn't initially say until we started digging was that one of her former students' parents worked at that company and got her that job. What about Rebecca? Rebecca worked hard and graduated from college and got this internship, but what she didn't initially say was that her college boyfriend, his dad was a GM at that PR firm and helped her get that job. What about Trevor? Trevor built this successful business, but what he didn't initially say was that his in-laws owned some rental property and let him and his wife live for 10 months for free while they grew the business. I call
Yeah.
these and then moments.
Wow. Okay.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. That's interesting. The and then like working hard and like getting help from, you know, someone that knows somebody. It's like how they say it's not like only just hard work, but it's about who you know, you know? It's not about all about what you know, what you do. It's about who you know. So it's a combination of both. So like that's interesting. And just having help and assistance from people to help, you know, pull you up or pull you forward to keep going. It's pretty interesting.
So hold on, let me see if I get this right. Let me see. Let me just rewind this for a second. I want to see if I heard him right for all three examples.
But what he didn't initially say was that his in-laws owned some rental property at that PR firm and helped her get that job. Didn't initially say job.
Okay, so the school teacher got help from a parent, from a former steward parent. Okay, so she's a school teacher, a student's parent helped her get a job in corporate America. Okay, I can understand that. That was a good thing. I guess I could see that networking. You don't know how she knew the student's parents. Maybe she was part of some organization. Maybe, you know, the parent was doing a lot of like just helping out in school, being involved in the community. So I could see that.
Yep.
Rebecca worked hard from worked hard to graduate from college and then got a job because her college boyfriend's dad. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. And Trevor, his in-laws let him live rent free. Man, hmm. How long?
Wife lived
How
for 10
often
months.
that happens? Hmm.
Mm.
Well, okay, that could help you out.
Yeah.
I see a common theme in all this.
Yeah.
Months for
See.
free while they grew the business. I call these and then moments.
Hmm.
And then moments. And then moments are people who unlock resources and knowledge and opportunity for you to do what you want to do. And so I had a chance to interview my superhero on his and then moments before he passed away, my grandpa. So I drove to Illinois. We sat on the back porch. We had the same conversation that we always had. I heard his story 100 times, but I'm now officially interviewing him. And so he started off and he said, Tay, that's my other nickname. He said, Tay, I grew up poor in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Went to elementary school, and then I started a paper route. And then I worked at this grocery store. And then I got a good job at the Tokheim gas pump factory. And I got paid enough that I could actually afford to go to college and not have to work during the semester. I said, okay, Grandpa, let's go back. Like, how did you get your first bike to start your paper route? And he said, well, now that I think about it, my uncle gave me my first bike. Okay. Well, how'd you get a job at the grocery store? He was like, that was nothing. It was a neighborhood grocery store. The owner lived in the neighborhood. He just hired us kids, and we put coupons on the door. Okay, well, tell me about the good job. How'd you get that? Did you apply? You have a resume? What? He said, no. The next door neighbor was the hiring manager. And we didn't have enough money for me to have a car, so I'd actually ride with him to and from work. And I realized that through relationships unlock opportunity. And so I'm thinking back, and the question is, well, what happens when you don't have access to those relationships? So I did a little bit more research, and I found out that because of exclusionary housing practices in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Black and brown people couldn't live in my grandpa's neighborhood. And so now I'm thinking back to the Marion and the limousine and his great-grandfather. I'm like, no matter how hard he worked, If he lived in Fort Wayne, Indiana, he's not getting this job. He can't live in the same neighborhood. My grandpa had opportunities that black and brown folks didn't have. My grandpa had a key to unlock an opportunity, and that key's name, Ray Simmons. This is the idea I call locked opportunities.
So I see how it is. Your network. You have to have a network. Now, he talked about the damn neighbor gave him an opportunity. He talked about the in-laws gave him an opportunity. How often do black men have the opportunity to do that? Do we have is people out there where we could depend on and get these opportunities? Yeah, you could say some cases, but what's the majority? The majority, I would say, is probably not. Sure, I ain't even have somebody to guide me to be like, okay, this is what you got to do when you go through middle school to high school as a man, and how you get to one place to this. This is how you deal with women. You got to do sports. You got to do this. Blah blah blah. I don't have nobody telling me that shit. So cool. So how do we do that? Well, now as grown men, it's about building a network, right? Finding like-minded people who got good ambition, good drive, uh, competitive, intriguing, aggressive, right? Have high standards, not low-hanging fruit that they just want to chill and do bullshit and party and all that other shit, right? You want somebody that's like, okay, they trying to make it. Boom. Okay, well, I'm in IT, right? I want to go up to being a cybersecurity engineer, but my boy over here, he in sales and he's trying to go to mid management. And then boom, right? He might be in tech sales, he might be in some type of sales, but just having that benefit, boom. Let's say the IT, right? I have a conference in Las Vegas for the CGI, whatever, some type of convention with IT. And it's because I'm in that field, I could go there and boom, I could get an invite. Maybe I'll invite him. He's in IT. Maybe he wants to sell to one of these companies. You know what I'm saying? So I got him in the door, right? Using each other's resources, and boom, he gets to sell off of that. So that could be good also, having that network. And you want to have a good network. You just don't want to have a network of people that's just bullshitting around and have empty promises and they're just talking all this. Oh yeah, I want to do this. I'm gonna own this and this. And when you look at their record and you look at the work, they ain't even there. But when you have somebody, you can say, okay, that person's doing this, that person's doing that. They have a track record, and you can see the opportunity there. You can see, and it's a genuine connection. You know, you're doing about business. You're not trying to have emotional and all that other shit into it. You about business. Everything you do should be about business and how you present yourself out here in this world. So if you lead with that and you build your network, boom. But my thing is with the examples he was giving about like the in-law and the next door neighbor, that don't happen to everybody. And it sure enough don't happen a lot to black men. So, but let's see what we gotta say.
You don't have an opportunity unless you have a relationship, and these keys are relationships. So I want to take you back to Rebecca's story. Remember her? She got the job at the PR firm, her boyfriend's dad, all that. Well, later on in that interview, she shared a story and said, I was out to lunch at an intern lunch, where all 10 of us were around the table, and one of the girls next to me slipped up. And she said that her dad worked with Brandon, and that's how she got a job. And then another one of the interns said, well, I worked with Catherine, and Catherine knew Doug, and that's how I'm here. And they went around the table, and all 10 interns had a similar story. Relationships. A little bit farther into that interview, Rebecca said, I got a full-time job there, and I didn't find out until I got there that no one gets a full-time offer unless they do an internship. That's a locked opportunity if you don't know somebody. One more story. I was interviewing an executive. Their company does $100 million plus in revenue. They have 70 to 80 employees. It's an amazing place to work. And I get done with the interview, and I'm like, hey, man, can I interview your employees on like how they got here? And he's like, sure, you can interview any of my employees, but I'll save you a lot of time. 100% of our employees who work here knew someone who worked here before they got a job here. That's a locked opportunity. Continue time and time again in my research, opportunity is unlocked through relationships. And here's the deal. In America, we all face locked doors. I face them, you face them, the person to your right faces them. And it's not really about locked doors. It's about how many keys you have to get through these doors. And the reality is, in America, people are born with drastically different amount of keys.
People are born with different keys. I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Unfortunately, you could be the smartest motherfucker. You could be the smartest person. You could be smarter than your manager. You could be the smartest person. The way you do things, you just do things quicker. You be taking this, you doing that. You if you had to take a test, you had to show somebody how to do something, you'd be the best person at it. But that doesn't mean that you about to have go up that career ladder. It doesn't mean that you about to exceed. You can't outwork the manager to get his spot, not necessarily. So when he's saying you need to know somebody, yeah, you do need to know somebody. You need to make network, and it don't. It, it's simple. It's simple, but not easy. Basically, simple but not easy. What I mean by that, boom, you work at a grocery store, you work at a retail spot, you out working, you working hard, but you do extra, right? You do extra. Maybe you stay late. Maybe every time somebody's off for work, somebody calls off, you got the opportunity to go step in, you step into that. You get extra hours. You working hard. You taking shifts that people calling off and whatever, right? That, and then you doing extra work with the manager. You sitting down with the manager and asking them, okay, how can I do this and this? Boom. So you doing the work at work, right? You talking to the managers. You making sure everybody know you. Yeah, you talking to the customer. He's got a good reputation. Boom. Okay, that's cool. But then what's happening? How can you maximize that? You can maximize that of what you know outside of work also. So are you in like a dance group? Are you in MMA? You'd be surprised who's in those classes with you. I did MMA here in Charlotte, and I found out a top UFC fighter was in that class. We've been in that gym for like years. There was like a CEO of a company. There was some big bakery lady business that she owns like a big bakery, well known. She goes to MMA. You just don't know who's going to be in those classes or in those programs. So now, boom, you take MMA and shoot. John Johnson, who owns Johnson's and Johnson's Jewelry, right? The most jewelry store, famous jewelry store in America, whatever, right? He's in your MMA class, right? You got him in a rear naked choke and shit, right? Y'all over in the mat tussling around and shit. Y'all doing this, you're putting in the work. Well, now you talking to him, you putting in the work in the MMA class, you developing that rapport. Maybe you might go out, whatever, travel on tournaments and shit. Boom, now you have that relationship outside of work. So y'all get to talking. Okay, you work at this place. He says, "Yo, I'm the owner here. Yo, I got a spot. Oh, boom, boom, boom. Hey, you can fit in here." So now it opens up your opportunities and stuff like that. So knowing somebody is definitely will get you up there because you're not going to be able to outwork somebody who knows who they need to know. If they friends with the hiring manager, that's how I got hired from one of my jobs, right? One of my jobs when I was working at the bank, right? I knew a manager who was a branch manager that worked at a bank, and he put me in touch with HR, who I became good friends with, right? So then, and then they knew I was in college and all that type of stuff too. And then the manager I knew, he had a good rapport with the company. The HR lady had a good rapport, one of the best they had. And then they're reckoning me to go. So now they putting their reputation on the line. Yeah, hey, I'm a high performer. Hey, we got this person, Michael Emmanuel. Yes, I recommend him to you. And then you got this guy. He's has one of the top branches in the banking industry in the city, telling people on his team, "Hey, yeah, I think you should hire this guy to come in." Right? Boom, you got your foot in the door. Same way with my buddy, right? When I worked in sales, right, I was able to get my buddy in because I was like the top 5 salesperson in the New York state at the time, right? So if I'm telling somebody, hey, listen, I'm a high performer. Hey, if we bring this guy in, I know this guy. He's going to be a high performer too. They're going to take my word to hire that person because I've done the work. I have a reputation, and now I can get him in off of that because okay, well, shoot, if he's a top 5 person, he's recommending somebody. Shoot, let's go. Shoot, let's give this a chance. Now, if you go in there and you ask, you're not good in sales, that's going to make me look bad, and maybe they won't even take my recommendation again, right? But if that person comes in and do good, oh, okay, man, he knows talent. Oh yeah, now that person is highly regarded too, and then boom, they can get somebody in the door. So
Damn. Okay.
a lot to think about with that.
That's serious.
All right, let's see what else you talking about.
And I found this out when I moved to the East Side. And I saw just how few keys kids had in their pocket. And it was jarring to see how many keys that I had in my pocket. Because I looked at Demarion and I said, I see myself in this kid. He's hardworking, he's fun-loving, all these things. I just didn't see the access. I didn't see the connections he had to the good opportunities. Social scientists have a name for this: economic connectedness. It's the relationships or friendships between the rich and the poor. And Raj Chetty, who is a social scientist, he's a Harvard economist, came out with an amazing study that says the more rich people that poor people know, the higher mobility, the better they do, the better we do when we're connected. But what's also a reality is that we live in a very segregated society still, by class and by race. The people with the good jobs live around and work with people with the good jobs, or another way to put it is like people with lots of keys live around and work with people with lots of keys, and people with few keys, they live and work with people with few keys.
Okay. Okay.
People with lots of keys live around people with lots of keys. People with lower keys stay with people with lower keys.
Yeah, I've been telling myself lately I do need to put myself in the right environment to to grow. And I realized that. And I always been saying, man, I want to go to Silicon Valley. I need to meet these tech people in Silicon Valley because I have a certain idea and certain things I want to do. And I still haven't made that jump to Silicon Valley to be in that environment, to meet those people but like with the keys like he talking about, and to really immerse myself in that environment. And I heard that a lot, in different movies and videos I watch on YouTube, how moving to a certain area where it's booming and going and flowing really helps you grow. Like, people always talk about Atlanta and how it's booming for Black people over there. And then, people talk about Silicon Valley, how it's booming for tech companies. And then for the movie, for acting, if you want to get an acting, you move to Hollywood. If you want to do certain jobs and be in certain industries and work, you got to move to where it's happening and action is happening. But if you can't move or have the, whereabouts to move, you get into the online groups and you do your best within, LinkedIn and groups, Facebook groups. And you always mention like Reddit and stuff like that. But yeah, you definitely got to put yourself around the people with the keys to open the doors for yourself to to get up to the level you want to get in life. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. You do got to make a decision and get yourself in a booming city. It's something that you want to do. Like my hometown in small upstate Rochester, New York. I knew there was a cat. There's always a cat there. But being in Charlotte, North Carolina, a booming city that's growing like literally, like, you go anywhere in Charlotte, you see new build apartments. They redoing the neighborhood, parks being built, uh, brand new grocery stores are coming into town, new business, airports always packed. So it's a booming place, and that's why knew like, hey, I need to be in a spot where it's growing so that way I could grow and be part of the growth instead of being in like a town that's kind of like on the down end. And you could do something there, but it's like a lot harder. It's not a lot of opportunities. Like in IT, right? In IT here in Charlotte, there's people out here that are making 70 to $200 an hour, right? And it's attainable. You take that to Rochester, New York, upstate New York. There's not a. It might be two or three people, 4 or 5. Okay, maybe not two or three. Let's say 15 people, and then they've been in that position for 20 years because there's no new businesses, there's no new companies, there's no new headquarters coming into that city. Where you have Charlotte, where it's new companies are bringing their headquarters in. They got to fill these positions. People are moving in, people are moving out. So those opportunities are there, but you have to put the work in to get it. You feel me? You have to put the work in, but it's there. Where in another place, it may be hard and may not be as attainable as it is in a city like booming, like a Charlotte or Atlanta or let's see, cities is booming right now that really got some good jobs. Charlotte, Dallas, Houston. Oh my gosh, rapid growth, rapid growth in jobs there. Um, what else? I would think say Houston, Dallas. I don't know. Let's say Cali right now. Arizona, anywhere in Arizona, man, everybody moving. I don't know what's going on with Arizona, but I hear so much good things about Arizona. Like the whole state is booming. So you take yourself out that little ass city or town you in or whatever, or maybe you just in the wrong part. Maybe you in New York City and you in fucking Southside Jamaica, Queens, but somehow you could get your ass to fucking the Upper East Side and be in that area. There's more opportunities there than it is over there. You feel me?
And then another thing is like just like opening up your mind, like getting out of your mind and not like overthinking and being afraid to like approach people or when people approach you, because it's like you could move to different cities or areas where it's going, but if you're not putting yourself out there and opening your mind and talking to people and you're holding yourself back, like you could travel somewhere and then not even get in the mix. You could just stay to yourself and be, you know, be by yourself. But you really got to be open to networking, talking to people, and just say, "Hey, I'm fine. How are you? What you got going on today? Like, what you do for work? Like, how can I help?" You know, we got to open up the mind and really talk to people, not just go in areas and just sit in areas and not say anything to nobody. You know, so that's very important.
The best way to do that, as I would say, is to like do something you love to do, like
Yeah.
hobbies, sports, going to a club, going to salsa dancing, going to karaoke night, or maybe there's like some type of club you want to go to. Not like a club, like you going to the club, like a social club or whatever.
Yeah.
Or you have a business, a city of commerce, or you have the speaker thing. I forgot the name of that. Where you go and you can do public speaking and stuff like that. And then boom,
Oh, Toastmasters.
yeah, Toastmasters,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then boom, now you're in the area. Boom, you can meet a lot of people, but you can meet people that you want to meet instead of just trying to go up to a random. I mean, you can go up to a random person and talk too, and shit like that. So you could be a person where you become a regular. Like I heard this before. KS Kevin Samuels talked about this too, where if you be a man, and I heard somebody else say this about this too, being a man around town, going like to a Starbucks where people know your name. Like I go to the Starbucks near my house, they know my name. Oh, what's up, Michael? Man, whatever. And they always talk to me. They even know I could walk in the door, not place a mobile order, and boom, they already know what I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get me a venti dark roast coffee with nothing in it, or maybe I might have a little light splash of heavy cream. They already know when I walk in the door because I'm go there all the time, and I establish relationships with them too. So we just don't just talk about, okay, hey Starbucks, hey, how you doing? Bye, goodbye. No, we talk about, oh hey, I found out the manager that worked there is from the same city I'm from,
Yeah.
right? And she got the dog. She do this. She go hiking. She invited me to go hiking with her dogs and her husband and all this type of stuff. So it's about networking like that too.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what they got to say on this.
And so, because our cities are relationally siloed, opportunities are siloed. We believe in America that we're playing like this opportunity is a zero-sum game. What does that mean? That means in order for me to win, you must lose. In order for you to win, I must lose. And so we walk around with this bowl of keys, and every time I give out a key, I'm one key down. And if I give out too many of these keys, I might get to zero. But opportunity America is
There's a term for that word he talking about. It's like gatekeeping,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You afraid that if I give you this information, boom, now you're gonna take my spot.
Yeah.
But you
Mm-hmm.
don't really gotta be like that. You don't gotta think like that. If you so good at what you do, you don't even gotta worry about that shit like that. Because you put the work in. You can just give knowledge and stuff. Talk about some gatekeeping. That's some like elementary fucking middle school type shit.
Mm. Yeah.
actually the opposite. Opportunity in America is compounding. When you step into a new job and you have 50 new employees, 50 new keys. When you step into the country club, new keys. When your kid starts competitive cheer and you're sitting in the stands with other parents, new keys. And so when you give out these keys, you're actually getting more keys. And then moments are not a zero-sum game. And then moments.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm competitive, man. I'm competitive. I'm intriguing. I'm aggressive. So if I go up in a new job, I'm gonna think how can I outwork all these motherfuckers? that's my thought process. But then I do have a thought process and get to know them and all this type of stuff. But being in sales background, like my process is to go, okay, shoot, I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna get more sales in your ass. I'm gonna put you in the dirt. You know what I'm saying? But that's just the competitive person in me. Not a lot of
Mm.
people have that competitive. But it's good to have. But it's also good to make connections and stuff.
Yeah.
Are compounding. And so what do we do? What's our next step? Well, I was doing an executive training for a company, a big insurance company, about and then moments. And I get closer to the end, and I ask if anyone wants to share their and then moments. And it was like everyone was frozen in their seats. And I'm sitting there, and one person has the courage to stand up and share their and then moments. And then another one, and then another, and another. in another. We went from a ice cold frozen room to a full on and then moments avalanche. Like I had to slow it down and stop it because we were running out of time, and I wanted to give the CEO the last word. And he stood up and he said, as I've been reflecting on people who have unlocked opportunity for me, names that I haven't thought about in a very, very long time, it's made me want to unlock opportunities for other people who need it. What happened in that room that day is someone had courage and the vulnerability to share their story, and that vulnerability fosters other vulnerability. People start sharing the more truthful parts of their story that we often leave out. So I want to be the first one to start this and then moments avalanche. My name is Taylor Doe. I grew up in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. And then I went to the University of Oklahoma. And then I got a good job at Sandridge Energy.
Don't fall for the okie doke.
Ah,
I went to college. Hold on. Let me do it like this. I went to college, and then I got a good job. All because I went to college.
mm-mm.
Don't fall for that.
Right.
What you going to college for? Is that a high paying job? You going for communications, or you want to be a doctor?
Yeah.
Right? You going for IT, which you don't need to go to college for it. Not really. You could, but or you going to be liberal arts
Mm.
and shit like that. So if you're gonna go to college, it's good to have like a detailed plan. Like this is what I want to get out of it. I went to college for business administration, but that wasn't really a good plan. I
Mm.
think I should have went for IT, which was on my back of my mind back then. But you know, they hit you with the business administration, communications.
Yeah.
You know,
Damn. Okay.
And then I started a tech company with my brother. But what I didn't tell you, and I need to tell you, is that my parents could afford for me to go to college. And I had a roommate, and his name was Daniel, and Daniel's mom was senior vice president at guess where? Sandridge Energy. And I got this great internship, which turned into a great job that allowed me to be on the east side and work with kids and all that. And then, because I've been given so generously, I want to give generously. And so let me leave you with a twofold challenge. First one, be generous with your keys. Be generous with your keys to people who have historically been left out. And the second, be generous with your story. Be generous with your full story, your and then moments. Let your kids know the names of the people who help you get to where you're at. When you're at the bar and talking about success, name people who helped you get there.
Mm.
Because when we are more vulnerable with each other, we collectively in humility can create a more truthful narrative in America. And then moments have the power to change companies and organizations and cities. And I want to leave you with this. More people will thrive because of your generosity in storytelling and the doors you unlock. Thank you.
Mm. That was good. I like that. Wow.
what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it made me think about one of my and then moments when I got the job with the city of Rochester at the Mount Hope Cemetery, but it was a part of the city of Rochester Environmental Services department of the city. And the reason I got that job is because when I was at East High School, I met a guy there that black older a black guy that was like older guy, not older, but like he was like a young older guy, but he gravitated towards me. We gravitated towards each other, and he was like a mentor to like a few people at the school, and he chose me and another person. But I remember that person like falling off, and then me and him just got real cool with each other, and we used to go hoop and ride bikes and just chill out and talk. And he always asked me like, what I want to do for career and work and stuff like that. And I ain't had no idea at the time and stuff. But and then he moved to like somewhere, I forgot where he moved, maybe Atlanta, Texas, or something like that. Somewhere he moved away for a long time, and then he had like I was doing a whole bunch of different jobs, random jobs and stuff, and then he came back to Rochester, and I happened to bump into him again somewhere. I don't know if I was at like LA Fitness playing basketball or something, doing something. I just happened to see him. I was like, yo, I remember you. Yeah, we was hooping at LA Fitness. That's what it was. Yeah, we were hooping at LA Fitness. Man, what you been up to? And we just talking and stuff. He's like, yeah, I work for the city of Rochester. I'm like, oh shoot, okay. Um, yeah, hiring? And I was like, he's like, yeah. Um, and then he invited me over to his office over there on like Maple Street in Ames area. And I was sitting there talking. He was asking me some questions like what I want to do and things like that. And then he's like, well, if you're not too sure what you want to do or if you want to go to school for something, he's like, man, just come work for the city of Rochester. I run the environmental department of services for the city of Rochester, and I'll put you in a good position starting at the cemetery with a good pay. And I was like, oh, okay. And I got that joy, and it was pretty cool. And then, well, I do remember him saying not to mention that at the workplace, but I ended up just talking and end up mentioning it, and a few employees there got mad how I got the job, and then it got around the job and stuff. But I just remember that moment was pretty cool. And but and I might have had some other ones, but I can't really think of other ones right now. I really remember that one. It's cool, dude. Yeah. But yeah, and then moments is definitely important, and like actually capitalizing on them too, because like sometimes you could get those like and then moments and you don't like recognize them or don't actually take action on them. Like somebody actually will like offer you help or a job or some type of offer you to someone to they may try to introduce someone, but you don't take the introduction or you don't take the offer, and that could be bad too. Because I do remember one recently I did where I was at the Tesla service center, and I started creating, because I was going there pretty often because, doing some stuff on my Tesla. And the manager that's there at Tesla, I mentioned to him I do like media services, like recording, editing, uploading, advertising, stuff like that. He's like, yeah, you edit? And he's like, how you edit? Like, what you edit on? I'll tell him what I edit with, Final Cut Pro, my MacBook, and all that. He's like, oh yeah, okay. Well, I got a friend that does videos, and he's looking for an editor. And I was like, oh, okay. And he showed me his friend's videos, and his friend is like a guy that be around a whole bunch of like famous celebrities and athletes and entrepreneur and business people. And he just, he records different events and stuff that celebrities be having and stuff. And he told me to reach out to the guy in that moment, but I kind of like lost track of time. I didn't reach out in that moment, and then I tried to reach out a little later, but never really gotten a response. And then I never really followed back up with the guy at the Tesla place. Even though I did see him today, I should have mentioned it again today. But that's another thing, you got to remember certain things you did in action, communications and actions you have. So it's good to take notes and like reminders on your phone. Use these technology to your advantage to help you remember things and do certain things. So but yeah, you can miss certain opportunity if you don't take that and then opportunity, that key to open that door for you. But man, I definitely do need to reach out to that guy that do the videos with the celebrities. I'd be fire, the business people. That's crazy. Mm-hmm.
I feel you still hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The only thing I disagree with what he said at the end is you have to be generous and stuff when you like try to help people and like give people recommendations and shit. I disagree with that. The only reason I disagree with that is you want to protect your image, you want to protect your reputation, what they call it, reputation. You want to protect your reputation. So if you want to recommend somebody and stuff like that, you just want to make sure you're recommending somebody that's going to be really you 100% feel like that person is going to do something and be a benefit to the person you recommending to. You're not just recommending fucking Rodney from the block because that was your boy in middle school or elementary school, or y'all was on the corners together, and he just needed to pick me up. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to do all that. You want
Or
to
you
make
trying to
sure.
or you trying to get that referral bonus. I remember at working at the call center, I used to do the referral bonus to get the extra pay. I remember that.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
You can finesse that. Yeah, I feel you. I just remember I had like a lot, well not a lot, a couple instances where I referred somebody and that person, wasn't really about and shit. Like I had referred somebody to a sales job and during the interview, like this person is I don't know what that person was doing. Um I don't even know. And then I referred somebody else in the sales, and when they got up in there, they end up leaving like 2 months later. And I'm like, nah, nah. If I'm recommending you, you gotta be dependable. I gotta know you have a strong work ethic. Yeah, I gotta know that this is gonna, look good on me also.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that's the only thing. Like that time I said earlier where I was like the top 5 salesperson in New York, and I reckon one of my boys, he came in there, boom, the snap to the point where he was like one of the people they talking about in New York. Oh yeah, he's a top 10, top 20 person in sales, and he was crushing it.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the type of people I would like to recommend that I know, like, okay, you putting in the work, I can see the work. There's evidence of work. They can show me, okay, I done this, I did this, I did this, I did this, and then boom. All right, boom, let's go. I can work with this.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I
That's
agree with
true. That's true. And then like, and it's good to be honest with yourself too. If you know you're not gonna, like, if someone like offer an opportunity to you and you be like, I don't know if I'm ready for the opportunity. So it's good to be honest with yourself instead of taking on the opportunity and making that person look bad as well that recommended you. So it's
that.
good to be
Exactly.
honest and not say it, because I think that was one of the reasons too I didn't really follow up with the guy that offered the opportunity to me with the editing the videos for the guy, because I was like, I wasn't too much into like being structured and on point with my editing and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'd be a good fit for that. I gotta get really into the editing and using getting like more consistent with it. And I guess that's why I didn't reach out right away at that time, because I was like, be honest with myself. Yeah. So I remember that. Mm. Mm.
Feel you.
Yeah.
Definitely feel you.
Mhm.
All right. Well, hey, this is Smooth and Slide Reacts.
That's right.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and then comment. Like, what do you feel about this? Like, how do you feel about the American dream? Like, how do you feel about climbing the ladder to get where you want and knowing the right people and what type of like clubs and stuff? Like people don't know this. Like people get out of high school, people get out of school, and then they just become loners, or they
Mm.
just become like they got a girlfriend or a wife or their family. That's all they do. They
Yeah.
run them so much. You don't go to the club no more. You don't play rugby with your boys on
Yeah.
like a city team. You don't go do MMA. You don't do a running club. You don't do tech meetup. or a business meetup or whatever like that. People don't do that. They just go home from work, go to work, come home, and watch TV reruns and shit.
Yep. That happen. That's how I be. Yeah. Definitely got to snap out of that, man. I can definitely relate to that. For real. But yeah, man. Y'all definitely like, subscribe, share, comment. You know, put the word out there, man. We got more heat, more episodes coming soon. Stick with us, you know. Let's get it.
You be
Get it.
sliding, baby.